Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 116.
Clap along if you know I do this show for you.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. If he had his own cologne, it would be called Elon Musk. Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. That is a creepy voice, John, but well played, my friend. Well played. Thank you all for listening in. This is Smart Passive Income Podcast, session number 116. Today, we're just going to dive right into the content. A great interview with a man named Kevin Rogers, who I met up in Seattle when I was doing CreativeLive.com for Derek Halpern's event. And he's an expert copywriter with a comedian background, actually. So this is going to be really interesting, really fun. And he is going to share a lot of hooks and formulas with us that are going to help us better create sales pages and sales pitches for our businesses and our brands. So you can find out more about Kevin, and I'll mention this again at the end of the show, but you can find out a free giveaway at 60secondsaleshook.com, and you can also check out copy-chief.com. So let's get right into it. Let's welcome Kevin Rogers to the show. Hope you enjoy. Mr. Kevin Rogers, welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast. How are you?
Great, Pat. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm extremely excited because for everybody out there, Kevin and I connected last year, March of 2013, in Seattle for an event that Derek Halpern was hosting over at Creative Live, and just Kevin has some mind-blowing tips for you for copywriting, and I'm really excited because we haven't had a show yet. Over 100 episodes, we haven't had a show that really dives deep into copywriting. And so I really am excited for everybody out there because obviously copywriting is quite essential when it comes to doing online business. And the stuff I remember from what you talked about is just, this is going to be awesome. But first, Kevin, why don't you just introduce yourself to everybody? What is it that you do? If somebody were to come up to you on the street and be like, hey, Kevin, what do you do? How would you respond?
Yeah, well, I usually don't say copywriting because people just think I'm some kind of lawyer, you know. Nobody knows what that means.
Right.
So what I tell people when they ask me what I do is I say I help people who have good information to share reach a lot of people and share it. And nice. If they're more interested, I tell them that I help people make millions of dollars selling information products.
Right, which you do. And so you have a number of clients who you help with copywriting. Like what are the types of things that you're helping create copy for?
Yeah, so for the last year, I've been focused in health and fitness a lot more, wellness, natural health. One new client is Dave Asprey with Bulletproof Coffee.
Yeah, I'm a customer of his.
Okay, great. Yeah, me too. I'm earning back slowly what I've spent with him.
Right.
They're a great organization. A lot of cool people over there. I also work with some of the great, fitness, workout and health guys online, John Rowley, and guys like that. And so I was just at CHS, Michael Fishman's event, and was there with Food Babe and a lot of amazing bloggers and people who are just really, finally breaking through with the message that there's better ways to treat ourselves and we don't have to, accept what's in the grocery stores. So there's a lot of exciting energy in that space right now.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean that. In particular, is something I'm very focused on right now in terms of diet and health. And I've already, since switching my diet, seen a lot of beneficial things happen in my life in terms of being more focused and being more energetic. I just finished my first half marathon, my second half marathon. My first one I ran last year in a time of 2:10. This time I beat 2 hours, which was my goal, which I didn't think I could do. And I think a lot of it was because of just the fuel I've been putting in my body. But anyway, we're not here to talk about holistics and health and all that stuff. We're here to talk about copywriting. So I think the big question is, a lot of people don't feel like they can do it, or maybe they expect that there is some simple formula. Is there a formula for good copywriting out there?
Yeah, there are formulas. There's no one size fits all everything. but I've been able to cobble together some really effective formulas. I might have a bit of a knack for that, Pat. I've discovered along the way. I don't like any more than anyone else to sit and face that blinking cursor on a blank Word screen. It's very intimidating. So I'm constantly after little hacks to get started. Just get the juices flowing. And once you do that, copy. If you've created your product and you put a lot of passion into your product or your service, then you have everything you need to sell already in your head. The hard part is getting it out and getting it in order, right? So that's what I've focused on for my own purposes, and now have begun sharing with others. Little ways to get started, and then sort of the order to put things in so that it converts.
So tell us, how do we get started?
So my favorite way to get started is this is a good test if you want to know if you have all your information that you need to sell a product. And what I do is I start having a conversation with who I picture would be my most bitter, cynical, uninterested prospect.
Okay.
So I sort of create, and I just have them ask very snarky questions like, "Oh, great, what's this? Another X product, just like 100 others out there." And then I'll say something like, "Oh, actually, I'm glad you asked. No, it's a little different because of this." And I'll just have this conversation, and I'll write it out almost like a journal entry. And what I find is, as I get in the flow of that, I'm telling this cynical, imaginary prospect all about the benefits of the product, and I'm actually seeing how they might respond and ask different questions. And it's a cool thing to do because there's no pressure on it. You're not actually writing the copy that's going to see the light of day. It's sort of like a warm-up exercise. But when I do that, a lot of times great copy comes from that. And next thing I know, 20 minutes into this exercise, I'm actually writing really decent body copy that ends up in the final product.
Right. So that's really interesting because when you have a sales page or when you're promoting something at any point online, people aren't going to want to buy it right away. They're going to have to be shown that this is something that is worth their time and is worth the value that you're sharing. And so I think having a conversation with a bitter prospect is perfect. I think that's a great way to think about it. Are there any, so just write all that down, and you'll see over time that you'll have some good stuff that you could potentially add onto a sales page.
Yeah, you're basically, writing out what can turn into benefit bullets. Like bullets are a really essential part of copywriting. I think if somebody could learn just how to write bullets, they'd have a big head start, because bullets often become great headlines or subheads or great subject lines in emails. So, study bullets whenever you see them on good sales pages and really think, okay, what's being said here? Bullets are everything. A lot of times you could have, a 9-page email or a sales page, and it just could be that one bullet that makes the sale because you're like, wow, I've got to have that, or I've got to know what that is.
Right. Now, speaking of 9-page sales pages, I mean, a lot of us, especially in the space that I'm in, are familiar with those incredibly long copy sales pages, which are just, you scroll down forever. And initially we're like, does that actually work? I mean, Does it? Is that what you do for your clients? You create these long sales pages, or what is the main goal?
Well, the goal is to sell, obviously. And the argument for long copy is that it can't hurt. As long as people know how to buy, how can there be a problem in telling them too much, right? Now, you could also argue back that, well, when I see, when I'm scrolling, my finger gets tired from scrolling my mouse through this sales page, I think this has to be complicated because there's so much information here. But there's a lot of ways around that. You write subheads in a certain way that are, if you just read the subheads of a good sales letter, you can pretty much get the gist and get the pitch in that form. It really is sort of market specific too. For instance, in the finance market, they're voracious information seekers. So people will actually read every word of those incredibly long sales pages and sign up. What they're signing up for is more long, sales pages because they're usually signing up for a newsletter, which means they're going to get even more words on a page, monthly or weekly. And, when people in that market just love information, they're information hounds. Imagine, and you have to realize a lot of people come to an offer when they're in pain. If you are told that you have a new illness, or somebody you love is facing an illness that you've never heard of before, you're going to do a lot of reading over the next few days, right? So it really depends on the degree of pain and fear that somebody is in. So that's why it's important to give good information in your copy. There's been a great movement towards value-driven, education style sales copy, and I'm glad for that. It's not, certain markets you're just going to see all the hype and all the crap, but in the markets that really do well, like natural health and holistics, you see a lot of teaching going on, and right. That's the best kind of copy.
Well, that's good. I mean, that was something I was going to ask you about is, understanding that people are coming to buy things out of pain or hope or whatever the case may be. Where do you draw the line with the words that you say? I mean, because you could easily say things that are going to help make a purchase, but might be a little bit of a white lie. You know what I mean? It's like, where do you draw that line? How do you know what to put in your headlines?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, it depends on the marketer. I mean,
right.
One thing you have to consider is your reputation overall, and that usually stems from your ethics.
Of course. Like if I were to have a sales page selling a product that said, buy this product now and you're going to make $1 million by next month. Like that would be an obvious misalignment.
For instance, you do an amazing thing and you post your income, which is amazingly transparent. But you're not saying to somebody, hey, this is what you could be making if you did exactly what I do starting next week, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all about context and being transparent and honest. So, it's just, people know when they're tricking people and when they're not. A good guy to watch is, anybody who's been in trouble with, alphabet agencies. The government can just crush you anytime they want. If they don't like what you're doing, even if you're not necessarily breaking the law, they will just bleed you dry with lawsuits if they really think you're up to no good. Mm-hmm. And so look at guys who have gone through that and how they market themselves now. And that's a really good lesson in how to be very careful about being ethical and saying the right thing, because their customers now, not only the people they're trying to sell their products to, but it's the alphabet agencies who are watching them very closely.
Oh, that's interesting. Is there any certain people or maybe a list somewhere that we could look at for that? I mean,
I don't think it's any secret that Frank Kern went through some of that. Mm-hmm. And so, Frank has done an amazing job of marketing with great transparency. I mean, what Frank does, instead of, putting his legal disclaimers in 8-point type hidden somewhere in an email, he leads with it. His third or fourth paragraph will be something like, let me just say immediately that you absolutely will not make that same $180,000 that I made last month. In fact, you could very well lose money if you try this. Mm-hmm. However, and, you just go, wow, okay, well, that's out of the way. It doesn't make me want it any less.
Right.
It's just that this guy's being really honest about it. And, I'm glad he's out there doing that. A lot of guys, just disappear when they go through legal troubles or have to learn tough lessons, and they just go hide and sit on whatever money they could keep from it.
Sure.
But guys like Perry Belcher and Frank Kern are good examples of guys who, took their licks, right or wrong, suffer the consequences, and came back even stronger.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting and good point. Okay, so we have our starting point, and we have maybe a number of different things on a mind map that we might want to make sure we include on a sales page. Where do we go from there?
So where you go from there is that's where I would start bulleting. If you say, okay, I've outlined my product, then I start to, for instance, let's say you have a training series and you've got 5 videos. What I would do is go through each of those videos and stop the tape every time I get to a very useful piece of information. And that's what I would turn that into a bullet. So, for instance, it might be, a 4-minute section where you talk about the place, the best way to get traffic to your landing page right now. Mm-hmm. And so you think about, okay, what is it and what is it not? Great bullets often come from what things aren't, because people find relief in, maybe they've tried, say Google AdWords and that didn't work out. And so, an interesting bullet could be, the new hot place to get very inexpensive traffic. And, in parentheses, hint, it's not Google AdWords or Bing or any of the other search engines or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so if you just go through your entire product and write bullets every time you put out a very useful piece of information, suddenly you'll have the foundation for what is your sales letter. You'll not only have the great bullets to talk about each module that's in, say, an information product, but like I said before, you're probably going to get a really good headline out of one of those bullets.
Sure. Yeah, we'll get into headlines in a little bit, because all of us online, whether we are blogging or even on social media, we're creating headlines, stuff that people read and scan through, and we have to fight for their attention to create some sort of action, like clicking through to then read that article or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Okay, so turning everything into a bullet. Now, I remember when we were in Seattle, you talked about something called the KLT formula. Are we there yet at this point?
Sure, we can be there, yeah.
Okay.
Its use is a little different, but I mentioned landing pages, and the thing that's so important is that you make a connection, right? There's so much, like you said, we're all fighting for attention. There's 3 things you need to make happen when somebody encounters you for the first time online, and that is you need to get attention. And then you need to make a connection. And then, of course, you need to inspire them to take action, whether that's opting in for something or actually making a purchase. And when you the connection is the hard part. It's sort of easy to get attention. You could use what we call in copywriting a pattern interrupt, and actually steal. A good example is you stop by Huffington Post to read one article, and next thing you know, it's Thursday, and you've read about every celebrity problem in the world because you couldn't resist 8 celebrities you never knew were related.
Right.
You had to click on that. And so those are all like curiosity-driven headlines. And it's easy to sort of grab people's attention, but it's what you do with it after that. So the connection is the more difficult part. And the KLT formula that I created is a 4-part formula that tells your story in a very concise way. And KLT stands for know, like, and trust. Because what the formula does is immediately establishes know, like, and trust with somebody who may have only met you seconds ago through a video.
Yeah, and this is incredibly important, because obviously when people arrive on your site or they go to a landing page or maybe they're on a sales page, you have a very, very short period of time to grab people's attention and like you said, know, like, and trust you. How do we make this happen?
Yeah. By the way, the new study is the human attention span is now 8 seconds. We beat out by the goldfish at 9 seconds.
Nice.
So yeah, keep that in mind. And so I call this the 60-second sales hook. And it comes from, Pat, I did stand-up comedy in my 20s. I spent about a decade touring all over the United States, working Holiday Inn lounges and comedy clubs and nightclubs and college campuses.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun, and worked with great comics who are now household names like Chris Rock and Louis C.K. and all these guys. And what I discovered about myself was I loved performing, but what I really loved was the writing part. And so it makes sense that I'm a copywriter now. And so when I got into copywriting, I started to think back to my joke writing. In fact, I was still doing a little of both. And I was starting to see all these parallels between the two. Like you said, for instance, we have to get attention quickly. You know, when you walk up on stage in Dothan, Alabama, it's a military town, and they've been serving dollar pitchers of beer for 3 hours before the show starts. Guess what? Your cutesy opening joke isn't quite going to grab their attention.
Right.
You basically have to open with what you would close with in a real club, you know, and then figure it out from there. So you learn as a stand-up how to win attention in tough situations. And then, you know, then it's about being market specific, you know, who's out in the crowd? Who are you talking to? How are you connecting with them? All these things cross over. So I discovered a very particular joke formula, and I transferred it to marketing, and it works perfectly if you just change the last part of the formula. And I'll tell it to you now if you'd like.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the formula goes like this. As a joke formula, it goes like this. It's identity, struggle, discovery, and then surprise. Because as we all know, jokes are funny because they catch us by surprise, right? So this is the joke formula that you'll see often. After I teach it to you, you'll start to recognize it all the time. And what I found is this is the formula that comics go to when the stakes are their highest. The stakes are never higher for a comic than when they get on their first national TV spot. Right. So, you know, it's your first Fallon spot. It's your first Letterman. Ray Romano's career happened because his first Letterman spot was so good that Dave signed him to a development deal, and they created Everybody Loves Raymond.
That's so cool.
And so Ray is famous for this formula. So identity, struggle, discovery, surprise. Here's a great example. A comedian named Karen Runtowski in her first Letterman set opened with this joke. She said, "My kids were so bad in Walmart today that I pulled the fly swatter off the shelf and smacked them with it. And the second the fly swatter hit their butt, I realized I don't have kids." Which is a great joke. And if you think about it, how much did we just learn about this woman in about 19 seconds, right?
Yeah.
We learned that she, it doesn't have kids. She's annoyed just as we are by crazy kids in Walmart and all these things. So we now have this connection. We feel like we can relate to her, and we know where the set's going to go from there. She's established her persona.
Right.
And so you could see, identity, struggle, discovery, which is the fly swatter, and then the surprise is they're not even her kids. So in marketing, you just change that surprise to result, which is a relief because, we can't charge marketers with being clever all the time and using misdirection to surprise people into, taking action.
Right. Misdirection is bad.
Exactly right. We don't want to be tricking. What we're trying to do is establish trust, right?
Right.
And, we trust a comic to surprise us and make us laugh. But what we want as marketers is to say, here's how well this worked for me, and I'm going to help you try to get a similar result.
Sure.
And so what people want to know from us is what was the result. So for marketers, it's identity, struggle, discovery, result. And so I'll use one that I actually wrote to prove that how easy this was. I actually wrote one for my dog Jesse. And it's, and by the way, you have to add the call to action at the end.
Okay.
Because, obviously you want people to take action. So picture my dog, Jessie. This is her KLT hook. Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm a 1-year-old miniature beagle from Florida, and this is my family, and I show a picture of us. When I first moved in with them, I struggled terribly with intramural bladder alleviation, or what humans call peeing in the house. Every time this would happen, the humans, especially the tall, bald one, would get weird looks on their faces and yell things like, "No, no, no, Jessie." It was happening so often, it seemed like they had changed my name to "Damn Dog." All I knew was what made me feel really good was clearly upsetting the humans. something needed to change. Then I discovered a really simple trick I can do whenever I feel an IBA coming on that magically causes the front door to open and gets me a free walk outside. Now I never have accidents anymore. Plus, I get more walks, and the humans never freak out and yell strange words at me anymore. To discover how you can learn this same simple trick in as little as one day, just tap on the button marked "Show me your trick," and you'll get free instant access to my special report, How to End IBA Accidents Forever and Double Your Walks Overnight. I'll smell you there.
Nice.
And so you see it's the same exact formula, just stretched out a little bit. I mean, you feel like you know my dog now.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think identity, struggle, discovery, the result being that there were no more accidents, and then the call to action was to click on that button below. So this was as if your dog was actually had a sales page to help other dogs have have this ability.
Exactly right. Yep.
Oh, that's super cool. So if we go to any sales page or any sales page that we think is good, we can sort of see this formula.
Yeah. I mean, I see it everywhere now, and I actually have a blog where I do what I call the hook of the week. And I not only do ones that I help people tweak and rewrite as examples, but in fact, I recorded one on my iPhone today from a TV commercial, because I'll be walking through the house and hear a commercial in the background. I go, oh, there's the KLT. In fact, it's the same formula when Weight Watchers paid Jessica Simpson $4 million to be their new spokeswoman. This is the formula they used in her commercial. And there's an example of that on the site as well. And it follows it perfectly, except in Jessica's case, the result was the cliffhanger, which I thought was brilliant. She said, I'm going to do my best and we'll see how I do. So now you're following along on this ride,
Yeah.
But yeah, you will definitely start to see it everywhere. And the places you don't see it, you'll also immediately recognize. A place you don't see it very often, for instance, is in a corporate mission statement.
Right.
Those are terrible. They're always so ignorable. They just annoy you, right? And the reason they're so bad is because there's no story there. They're just saying, we believe this and we did that. And in 1972, two brothers decided, and it's you want it to be interesting, but you just don't. You're going, I don't care, because they're so eager to impress me. So the key to the formula is struggle, right? When you admit to somebody that you struggled with something, they let their guard down and they feel close to you. They may have had a similar struggle, or they may have not, but they feel like they can trust you because you're being transparent and you're being vulnerable. And that's the way to win over a stranger in any situation, is to just be honest and vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely attest to that. I mean, a lot of people know on the Smart Passive Income blog that I talk about a lot of the failures and a lot of the the dark side of what I do online, and people do appreciate that. I can't tell you how many people emailed me after episodes 104 and also 108 talking about a lot of the personal things that happened and the struggles that I've had starting my businesses. How many people were just so appreciative of that. And, going through this identity struggle discovery result, I mean, that's what my entire brand is all about. Yep. Being able to identify with all of you out there saying, I'm just a guy and I have a family. I didn't go to business school or anything. I'm not a genius, but I just am somebody who takes action. I struggle all the time. Struggled when I got laid off, and I still struggle now when I'm creating new things and dealing with these new challenges in my business and discovering ways that I can improve and help myself, which then I can share with you. And and these are my results. I mean, that's where the income reports come from. That's where the niche site duel comes from. That's where all this stuff comes from. And then oftentimes there are call to actions to, whether it's leave a comment or subscribe, or, perhaps check out this product that I'm recommending, which is, helping me with the income reports. But I mean, this is beautiful. I think a lot of people should, I mean, especially corporate people, should get in on this. I mean, this is really, really key. So one more time: identity, struggle, discovery, and then result, and then of course the call to action. I think that's huge. Now let's focus on the last part of this session here on headlines, because to have this formula is great, but even before people come over to our sites, there's a shorter amount of text in a headline or some sort of status update or whatever on social media that has to capture people's attention too.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So how do we capture people's attentions with headlines? How can we best do this? Obviously, there's, I've shared a number of different formulas. What does Kevin Rogers say is the way we should approach headlines?
Yeah, good question. It's a broad subject, but
it is. Sorry.
My favorite way to study them, at least, and to swipe them, again, having some sort of formula and just collecting great headlines. Anytime you are drawn in by something, you need to screen grab it or snap a picture of it with your iPhone. What gets you in the checkout line at the grocery store? I'm a sucker for those. The cashier always has to say, sir, because I'm just like, I got 3 magazines open because, and so when, next time that happens, something in Cosmo makes you go, ooh, I either have to buy this magazine or I need to quickly flip to this page and see what happened. Take your iPhone and snap a photo of that headline and then start to see how could I use this, especially on, magazine blurbs make great subject line swipe for email. And also on look at, again, I referenced, HuffPost and Upworthy and all
BuzzFeed.
these. BuzzFeed is a great one. Oh, who's got great headlines is Prevention Magazine. Just Google Prevention Magazine covers and go to the images and you'll see pages and pages and pages of the best headline writing in the world. They're amazing at it. They use the best copywriters on the planet. There's another great book called, it's from the New York Post, called Headless Body and Topless Bar is the name of the book. And it's all their best headlines from the New York Post over years and years. And I'm telling you just flip through this book and start thinking about, all right, what story that's in the news right now, or what something that happened to me, something crazy my kid did, or something somebody did in traffic. What story could I tell that I could put into a curiosity-driven, quote unquote, shocking, eyebrow-raising sort of headline, and then, pay that off and get people into your real message. Man, if you just use a little bit of story, and then go into your message. A lot of people don't do that because they think, oh, nobody wants to sit and read a story. Trust me, everybody wants to sit and read a good story, a well-written story. So don't shy away from that, because all of a sudden you just become another person spewing information at somebody. There's no connection there. So my long way to answer your question about headlines, I almost ducked out of it, but what I'm really trying to say is, the best way to write a headline is to have a headline to write about. So find a story, sit and think, what's happened to me recently, or what did I read about or experience that I could summarize into a 2 or 3 paragraph, lesson story, and how could I drill that down to a simple headline that would force me to read it if I saw it.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sorry for putting you on the spot there with a really difficult question. And I'm not expecting you to say, okay, here's the magic formula. But I think,
like you said, there's a million of those out there,
Right.
And again, you could Google headline swipe files and get lots of good ones.
Right. There are tips that do help, like, using numbers, top 10 lists, and all of those things work.
Yep.
But I think there's stuff deeper to that, and I think the stories do play a huge role. And this reminded me of a post I read recently, actually published April 22nd on Buffer, about the power of story. They split tested 2, I think they were sales pages, a basic A/B test. One did include a story, and the other one didn't. Even though there was a lot more words, the story one had a lot more readers, and the average time on site was improved by 4 minutes.
Wow.
And it was just kind of ridiculous how much stories just mattered for this.
Yeah.
I'm here also. I did what you said. Look up Prevention Magazine and look up the covers. They're great. Like, is your diet aging you? 5 superfoods to the rescue.
How do you not read that?
What are those 5 superfoods?
Yeah, if you're at all concerned about your aging, it's impossible not to read that. I'll tell you another great example of the value of story. There's a thing called the Significant Objects Project. Mm-hmm. And what people do is they go to garage sales and they find the cheapest item they can find that seems a little offbeat or interesting. So it might be a little, I don't know, Rubik's Cube keychain or something, right? Mm-hmm. And what they do is they let writers write stories about the items. So say you paid, 20 cents for this Rubik's Cube keychain, and then you attached a story to it that talked about, the girl who you first fell in love with. This was a gift you bought for her, and the day you went to go give it to her, something happened. Whatever it is, mm-hmm. you make up a story and give it a bunch of great meaning, and you bring people back to the first time they encountered a Rubik's Cube and what it meant to them. And
that's cool.
And when you so what they found was, and it's this whole project where then they put these items on eBay, right? And the story increases the value of what people are willing to pay for the item by sometimes up to 400, 500, 600%. And it's just if you just put Rubik's Cube keychain, people either want it or don't and move on. Mm-hmm. But when you say the Rubik's Cube keychain that broke my heart or something like that, people are drawn in, they start reading, and now they start to feel an attachment to it, and it has a whole new significant value. So significantobjects.com, I think, is the site, and they have tons and tons of them, and it's great to read these stories, and they show you the numbers of how much it increased the value.
No, that's that reminds me, I watch a show called Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
And people come in and try to, sell their items. And it's like the ones that have the incredible story, it might be a thing that's related to a famous, rock group, for example. But then there's this incredible story with pictures about how it was, how the signature was obtained and all that stuff. It just totally increases the value on what they could sell that item for. Antiques Roadshow, same thing. You hear the stories behind these objects. It really does add value.
That's right. So dig into your own closet and say, why is this interesting? Like me, I'm a copywriter, and there's a lot of copywriters up there. But when I talk about it in this frame of being a stand-up comic, suddenly there's a lot more context there, mm-hmm. and people have a new reason to listen to me because, I help them see comedy and copy in a whole new way for a very particular filter. And so it's great to be able to go, hey, I'm going to watch stand-up comedy and also learn about how to market my business better.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from watching stand-up comedy, actually.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Now, to finish up here, Kevin, a couple things. One, a point I just want to make, and then the second thing will be a question just to finish up. The first point is, in order to understand how your copywriting is working for you, you got to make sure you're tracking and even doing A/B tests and stuff like that. You could spend as much time on copy as you want, but there are potentially always ways to improve and to test different things, and you have to be testing all the time. I'm always testing something in my brand. Would you agree that testing and doing A/B tests and all that stuff is incredibly important when it comes to copywriting?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it couldn't be easier these days. There's just no excuse anymore. Things like lead pages and similar programs just make it dead simple to create 2 or 3 versions of the same thing. Test with video, without video. I'm testing right now 2-camera video versus slide-driven video. All kinds of things, headlines. Yeah, like you said, and I love the contest, like which ad won. Even veteran copywriters get this wrong all the time because we bring so much of our own personal experience and preference to an ad or to a project or to a headline that we're very biased in how we judge it. So the only judgment that matters is if people are clicking and taking action on it. So the only way to remove yourself completely from the scenario and be subjective is with A/B testing.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. And then lastly, what are some of the biggest mistakes people are making when it comes to either writing headlines or even just any sort of sales copy?
The biggest mistake in headlines by far is trying to close the deal in the headline. And again, it's understandable why people do it, because when you've put a lot of passion into what you've created, it's very hard to resist not giving all the benefits in one mouthful. But trust me, the less you say in the headline, just say the right words. 7 or 8, 10 or less words will certainly do the trick. The headline's only job is to get the next line of copy read or to get your video clicked on and watched. Right. So don't try to close the deal with the headline. I'd say that's the number one mistake.
Perfect. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. We've learned a ton. I love the formulas and the structures, and I also love your dog, Jessie. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Kevin, if people want to learn more about you and get more information from you, where should they go?
Yeah, 2 places. They could go to 60secondsaleshook.com to get their free download of the book and learn the formula. And also copy-chief.com is a great place to learn more about me.
Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, bye. All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Kevin Rogers. Again, you can find him and get your free gift at 60secondsaleshook.com. You can also check him out at copy-chief.com. If you'd like any of the links or the resources mentioned in this episode conveniently in one spot, just head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session116 for the show notes. And as a quick reminder, if you'd like to conveniently consume this podcast, my other podcast, Ask Pat, and the blog content from Smart Passive Income all in one spot, head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/app, and you could download the iOS application right now to get a great way to conveniently take in all of that content in just one spot. And of course, an Android version is actually on the way. Actually, we're just talking to the developers right now. So don't worry, it's all coming. So again, that's smartpassiveincome.com/app. I would also love to thank today's sponsor, which is 99designs.com, a company I've used many times in the past for great, amazing, quick design. If you're dreaming about the perfect logo or website design, but you don't know how to get started, or maybe you're worried about a budget, or you're worried about trying to find the right designer, 99 Designs can help you. It's the world's largest graphic design marketplace, making it easy for you to get a design that you love. So here's how it works. You go to the website, you tell them about the design that you need, and you pick a price that works for you, and that's when the fun really begins. It's actually really exciting because designers from around the globe will submit awesome designs for you, and you'll give them feedback. And within a week, you'll pick your favorite and be the proud owner of a gorgeous new design or logo or t-shirt design or whatever the case may be. Again, like I said, I've used it many times in the past, and with thousands of designers at your fingertips, there's no limit to what you can get designed. So if you'd like to try it out today and get great design for your website or anything that you need done, actually, head on over to 99designs.com/SPI, and you'll get a $99 power pack of services free. Don't wait. Again, that's 99designs.com/SPI, and you'll get that free power pack of services. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for taking time to listen to the show. And again, if you have any questions, head on over to Ask Pat, and please leave a rating and review on iTunes. I appreciate them so much. And one more time, you could download that app that I was talking about at smartpassiveincome.com/app. It's 100% free. Thanks again. Take care. And remember this: a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to tailorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Tailor Brands. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? Record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.